Joining us now in the studio for more perspective on President Obama's speech is VOA National Correspondent Jim Malone. Jim, welcome back to In Focus. It's been some time now.
Thanks, Vincent. Good to see you.
Yes. Now, before we get to our questions here, first I want to read to you what Ibrahim Musa, Libyan government spokesman, said in response to President Obama's speech. He says, "You can't sit in Washington or New York and decide for the fate of Libyan people. Also, we would like presidents such as Barack Obama not to become another George Bush and have his Iraq." End of quote. That is the spokesperson of Libyan government, Ibrahim Musa, saying that. What are your thoughts on this?
Well, it's interesting because I think President Obama in his speech made it clear that he doesn't want to repeat the Iraq experience either. In fact, he's drawing a very stark contrast with how we got involved in Iraq, the length of time, with what's happening with the U.S. involvement in Libya. Look, so much of that address last night was about getting the American people on board with what the administration wants to do, limited in scope, driven mainly by humanitarian needs of the Libyan people trying to protect innocent civilians. That's where the administration is. Of course, moving forward, there's a lot of questions. And
Indeed.
we'll get to that.
Yeah, so there are concerns, of course, here at home from different sides of the political aisle. What are some of the major concerns, given that this thing in Libya turned so quickly into a military operation?
There are concerns, Vincent, and they're all over the map at the moment. You have on the right Senator John McCain, the president's opponent from 2008, saying that we should use military force to basically get Gaddafi out of power. That's something now the president has said that's not the objective of the operation right now. On the other hand, you've got a Democratic rival from 2008 of Mr. Obama, Dennis Kucinich, a liberal from Ohio, a congressman, saying that he thinks maybe the impeachment proceedings should start based on the president's decision to go along with international force to enforce the no-fly zone. So the vast majority of members of Congress, and I would argue the American people, are somewhere in the middle, and that's why you need an address like we saw last night. This is where leadership from the White House really comes into play.
Yeah, but at the same time, you see, President Obama said that the operations in Libya will start being led by the NATO allies. But at the same time, there are those who think the president is hesitating to take leadership on the international scene, and that this weakens the position of the U.S. internationally. How tough of a position is he in? Again,
another way, I think, in which he's drawing a contrast with his predecessor, who was so heavily criticized for going into Iraq, basically leading the U.S., leading the charge on that war. And he argued during his campaign he wanted to go a different way. And in his speech last night, he made clear that while we will act when it's in our interest to do so, he wants to do it in the right way. And the right way to him is through an international coalition, in this case NATO, but even a few Arab countries getting involved in the process.
Yes. Now, quickly, President Obama has said very clearly, it is time for Gaddafi to go. But at the same time, he makes it clear it is not the intention of the U.S. and the coalition to kick him out, to overthrow him. So what happens?
I think the old saying is you got some explaining to do here. I think as he goes, he's going to have to both do that with Congress and the American people to explain what the ultimate goals are here for the United States as part of the coalition and where this whole scenario moves ahead and what our role in it will be. A lot of unanswered questions despite the speech last night.
So politically, how does this impact him as he looks forward to re-election?
Americans want him to focus on the economy, on jobs. It's a bit of a distraction in that sense. Only 47% right now support the action in Libya. That's pretty low for military action at the beginning of undertaking something like this. So they want to handle it, but they want to get back to the business of his re-election, which is solving the economic problems here.
Well, thank you very much, Jim, for your insights. That's Jim Malone of the Voice of America giving us his contribution on In Focus.